and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. My name is Denise Alvarez, and I get to host you here on a regular basis. And before we jump into what I have for you in this episode, as an equestrian entrepreneur, I'm going to very briefly introduce myself just in case for new friends, and then I promise we will dive right in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners like yourself to see clearly through the marketing overwhelm so you can create a cohesive plan and a clear message for your social media, website, and email marketing. And by doing that, we will turn your online audience into your customers. Now, I do that through one-on-one coaching as well as website design and website copywriting, and then educational resources such as this podcast, and I have some online learning resources for you too. Now, I do each of these things, and my heart, friends, truly is to help you be out in the barn or the arena or behind the camera lens. I know we have many photographer friends here, so I always include that for you. I want to help you do more of what it is that you love to do in the equine industry. And so here on this podcast, you will get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts that will help you not only see what's possible for your horse business, but I'm also here to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. Now, today's episode is actually inspired by the past 4 years of this podcast. I'm super pumped. This episode is actually the week of the 4-year anniversary of the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. And that also means I have been coaching horse business owners since actually a little closer to 5 years for that one. But to me, it's an anniversary episode, but I wanted to do something fun to celebrate that, just looking back and seeing the things that I've noticed that have stood out as I'm talking to equestrian entrepreneurs. And one of the things that I have noticed, and I will say I've been guilty of this before, is that when you look at the online marketing space, it might make you seem that it's easy to just create a product and sell it. Like that's all you have to do, right? You just have to create that online course. You just have to create that digital training. And really, it's not even just online. You just have to do the clinics and they will come. And sure, depending on your business model, how long you've been in business and some other factors, that may be the case for you, that you can create something today and sell it tomorrow. But I would bet that you've built a brand to be able to do that. Because if you want to build a sustainable business in the equine industry, then you must build a trusted brand. For the most part, you're not going to be able to just show up and start selling an online membership, an online course, a video library, in-person training, clinics, all of those things, and expect people to buy right out the gate. Even if you don't have online offering aspirations, like I said, when it comes to clinics, you're asking people to pay to come to your facility, to drive, to bring their horses. Or if you're saying, Denise, I actually want to be invited to go and do clinics and travel and speak and teach, each of those things require that you've built a brand that's trusted by the people that you want to attend. So how do you do that? That's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast episode. I'm going to give you 5 keys that are important when you are building a trusted brand as an equestrian entrepreneur. All right, so as you know, get your notepads handy. Now, I do, of course, have each of these keys outlined, and many of the points are outlined on the show notes for this episode. So if you head over to stormlily.com/149 for episode 149, then you can check those out there, and I'll have it outlined. So if you're saying, Denise, I want to listen, but I'm kind of busy, can I come back to that? Absolutely. Head to the show notes, and I'll have this outlined for you, all right? Okay. Let's dive in. Here are the 5 keys that are required for building a trusted brand as an equestrian entrepreneur. Number 1, quality. It is imperative that you define what quality means for your business when I say this, all right? The word matters. It's very subjective. I realize that, but it's very important. Actually, I had a coaching client call the other day, and we were honing in on this word quality because it doesn't always mean what you want it to mean. So I want you to think about, what does quality mean to you? But quality also is the word I've chosen for this first key because at the bare minimum, quality means that you should be doing what you say you're going to do. If you're providing a quality service, they should be able to trust that you're going to do that. Quality also means that your customers and clients are receiving what they were promised. What have you told them you're going to do? What service have you said you'll provide? What did you say you would do for their horses? The products that you're providing, what is it they're going to get? That all has to do with quality. Now, of course, there are levels of quality, and that's what I mean by subjectivity. You need to decide for your equestrian brand what level of quality you're going to provide. Yes, a higher premium quality oftentimes demands a higher price, but you can't just say we are high quality and not provide that high quality experience. You need to deliver on what you have promised. And when you do that, and when you meet and exceed the expectation of the quality that you have promised, then you are building a trusted brand. All right, number 2, the second key that you need to have is consistency. It is impossible to build trust without consistency. Now, that is true for pretty much anything, but especially when it comes to your equestrian brand. Let's look outside of brands and marketing. Think about your favorite restaurant. One of the reasons it is likely your favorite is because you can count on them to make your favorite meal taste the same every time. They are consistent. Or consider your own favorite clients and customers. The characteristics that you love most about them show up on a consistent basis. You know what to expect. And the same is true for your equestrian brand. You need to show up consistently. That means on a regular basis over a lengthy amount of time. You need to do that in order to build a trusted equestrian brand. So let's get a little practical on this one. What does that look like? All right. So when you go back to quality, you are going to consistently provide that same level of quality that's expected. If it's a high level of service that you want to provide, then you're going to do it on a consistent basis. Now, that means whether you're having a bad day or not, you can also consistently show up with kindness and respect in your conversations. That's related to quality, but especially consistency. Can the people you work with, your team members, your clients and customers, can they know that you're consistently going to show up as a kind and respectful person no matter what? When you do that, you are building trust in your brand. Now, for you, say you are a horse trainer, you can consistently communicate with your clients and customers, not on a very haphazard basis when they're not sure if they're going to hear from you, but you show up consistently to do that. Now, this does apply to your marketing friends. Building a brand is very connected to how you market your horse business consistently. If you're going to create content to build trust online, you need to show up consistently to really get the effects of that and to build that trust. Social media marketing, you guessed it, you need to be consistent. Planning to send an email newsletter, don't just start out the gate strong. Be consistent in how you're going to show up. Consistency truly is how you build trust over time. Now, let me remind you of something, okay? I mentioned social media. Consistent does not mean you need to post on social media 2 times a day in order to build trust with your audience. That's not what I'm telling you. But it also does not mean that you should show up 2 times a day, 5 days in a row, and then no one on social media hears from you again for another 3 months. That is not consistent. And that's what I want you to avoid, okay? What I want you to do is consistently show up. So that's why with my Take the Reins coaching clients, my one-on-one coaching program, I work with them to create a schedule that suits both their goals and their capacity, given the current state of their business and their personal and family life. As an entrepreneur, it is time that we stop ignoring the fact that your personal life and your family life are deeply intertwined with your horse business. So through coaching, we acknowledge it and we plan around it so that you can consistently market your business online. Now, I'm actually going to have a conversation with an entrepreneur in the next couple of weeks about that idea. And so stay tuned for a future podcast episode about this idea of how things are deeply intertwined. But for right now, what I want you to consider is that acknowledging that doesn't mean you never show up. It just means you figure out, what does consistency look like for you in this season? Okay. All right. So number 2, friends, is consistency. Number 3, the third key to building a trusted brand as an equestrian entrepreneur is clarity. If it is not clear what you do and who you are for, then who is it you're trying to build trust with in the first place, right? Otherwise, you're just hoping that the world trusts you, but that's not what we want. We want you to build a trusted brand, and we want the right people to build trust in you. So you need to know those right people. You need to know who your audience is. You need to be clear on your messaging and how you're going to communicate with them. And then, yes, from there, I want you sharing stories and testimonials and backing up the claims that you're going to make, because absolutely that builds trust, right? But if you don't have some clarity first, then everything else is muddied, and that actually results in confusion instead of trust. Again, speaking of Take the Reins coaching, this is so applicable, because that's why we spend the bulk of our first 2 calls with my coaching clients focused on this idea. We get very, very clear on who your audience is and what your messaging is, because that really does feed everything else. Now, I'm talking about marketing, but let me just tell you, it also gives you a filter for your decision-making when you're considering programs, when you're considering creating new products, when you're considering your schedule. All of those come back into play when you have a clear filter of who you're for and what your messaging is and how you're communicating how you help solve those problems. Now, I will tell you that most people don't realize this is their sticking point. When I have coaching clients, whether it's Take the Reins or Clarity coaching calls, and they show up saying, I need help with social media, or I need help with this launch, or I need help with my email marketing or my website. Those things are usually true. They do need help in those areas, but they often don't realize that what's actually keeping them stuck is their lack of clarity. And their lack of clear messaging is what's keeping them from seeing an impact on their efforts in their marketing, whether it's social media or a launch or email or even in-person events, all of those things. It's so important that we have that clarity, because once we do that, once you are clear on who you're for and what your messaging is to communicate that, the floodgates begin to open. And then you have content ideas, you have an email newsletter, you have website copy that's going to convert, you have social media, because we've gotten clear on this most important aspect. I'm telling you, when it comes to your marketing and when it comes to building a trusted brand, we have to start with that clear messaging. All right, number 4, the 4th key that's important as you build a trusted brand for your business is community. I have a question for you. If no one is talking about you or your horse business, do you really have a trusted brand? Because a trusted brand is much more than your logo, your website, and your messaging. Yes, those things are very important pieces of building an equestrian brand. But there's another element that's often forgotten when it comes to marketing strategy, and that is the people that you actually do serve. The most trusted brands, equestrian or not, have understood the importance of building a community around what you provide. So I'll give you a very practical example, and then we'll look outside of that as well. But I want you to think equestrian entrepreneurs. This can work for you. You can build a community, okay? I have a coaching client right now. She's in Take the Reins, and she actually has a show barn. And one of her key differentiators that we've identified is that she has built a community in her barn. And the supportive community and environment that is there is actually one of the reasons that people stick around. And that's very much connected to her as the business owner and as the coach and instructor. She has intentionally built a community around her program that is actually the antithesis of what many people experience. And so it has helped to build that trust for her as a brand and for her business as a brand. Now, I told you we're going to look outside of just the quote unquote everyday entrepreneur. And I want you to see that this is true when you think about some more well-known names in the equine industry that here's what I want to tell you, okay, before I even say these names, that I just want you to see when I say these names, you're going to go, oh, I actually do see that. I'm telling you these names as a marketing study. I don't promote certain people or methods or anything like that here on the podcast. I am not here to teach you horses, okay? I'm here to teach you marketing. So I always feel like I want to say that up front, because when I name specific people that are not clients of mine, if I talk about clients, I for sure stand behind them. These people are not my clients that I'm mentioning to you. I just want you to look at them purely from a marketing education standpoint in the equestrian community, okay? That being said, I think that Clinton Anderson with Down Under Horsemanship and Pat Pirelli are two really good examples of understanding this idea of community, that it's not just about the person, it's about the people. There is a community of people that have surrounded this brand that have helped to actually build it up over time. And they trust the brand. But, like I said, I'm not standing on one side or the other of either of these names. I'm just telling you from a brand strategy perspective, there is a community there that trusts the brand, and the community becomes the ambassadors, right? And that builds into your marketing. So I want you to see that as an example of why community really is a key component. Now, I don't want you to think you have to be an international name or brand in order to build a community. That's why I gave you the first example of a show barn who's built a community around her, okay? I also have a member that was in Social Stride, the membership that I had open for a while, who has done a really good job of building a community online around the service that she provides. You may not know her name if I told you, but her people do. They know her and they love her, and they've really built a community. Now, I have another name that I'm going to give you, and it's actually related to a podcast episode, and this is somebody I stand behind. I love these two people. I think they're wonderful. Shauna Karish and Jesse Hilligus. They are team members, and if you're in the positive reinforcement world, you know them. But I had them on the podcast before to talk about this idea of building a strong community, because it is something they have done very intentionally, and they have some really good insights. So if you're saying, Denise, I don't know what that looks like, I don't really know where to start, then start here. Okay. Start with episode number 105 of this podcast. So you can scroll on your podcast player to 105, or you can just go to stormlily.com/105. That's storm, LALY.com/105. And that will get you there. But if you're thinking this idea of community feels abstract to you and you'd like to see what it looks like, and you'd like to hear what does that look like from a very personal entrepreneurial level, that conversation will be very insightful for you. So I will definitely point you to that. But the idea here, friends, is to realize that if you want to build trust as a brand, it's going to require going outside of yourself and building that community, and that will help you exponentially. All right, the fifth key here that I want you to consider as you're building your brand is coaching. Now, you might hear that and say, oh, of course Denise is saying that. She's a marketing coach and she's talked about that. And I hear you, okay? But I want you to listen, because you know that I'm also here to give you the practical, actionable help. So let me tell you why coaching is number 5 of the keys to building a trusted brand. Now, I want you to think about Olympic athletes, okay? They have coaches, right? And not only that, but amateur riders like myself, we need coaches too. Like, I consider my riding instructor a coach, and she is wonderful. Because here's the thing, there is immeasurable value in asking a trusted expert to coach you as an objective third party who sees things that it is nearly impossible for you to see from the saddle or from the driver's seat of your horse business. I can tell you that in my own business, the times that I have grown the most in the business is when I invested in a coach to meet with me and challenge me in the very best ways. Coaches have called out the areas where I was not showing up with clarity in my own marketing. I needed that third person. I've had a coach that helped me to really clean up my service offering so that I could be more clear to my audience about what it is that I do and the service that I provide. Without a coach to guide you through the process of getting these keys that we've talked about here in this episode in place for your horse business, it can be very difficult, not impossible, but difficult for you to build a trusted brand. Now, I want you to consider something too, okay? Coaching is not the same as consulting. A consultant will typically come in, tell you what to do, and then leave you to figure out how to do it. That is not what marketing coaching is. A good marketing coach is not just giving you a list of what you need to do to fix your marketing. Instead, you're getting the how with the resources and tools to help you make it happen. And you get someone who is showing up right there with you, cheering you on as you take action, answering your questions along the way, supporting you along the way. And that's one of my favorite parts of coaching equestrian entrepreneurs. When I meet with my coaching clients, you can bet I am all in. I'm like their second team member. Many of them have team members that are not involved in the business. They're just horse team members, quote unquote, they matter, but they're not on the business side of things. And so it's vastly different when you have someone who's sitting there with you and understands from a business perspective, from a marketing perspective, how difficult this can be, but how important this work can be. And so that's what coaching really is. It's that third party that's really helping you to see things in a new way, asking you the hard questions, and then also giving you the resources that you need to help make it happen. It truly is like having that team member right alongside you. And so let me just tell you this. I do want you to apply the things that you're learning today. So if you're hearing this and saying, okay, actually, I can see how coaching would be helpful for me, and I think that's what I need right now, I do want to invite you to get on a call. I have clarity coaching calls available. So if you're saying, Denise, right now, I just need 60 minutes of your time to hash things out and get that objective, expert, marketing level third party, then jump on a call. Let's do that. Let's do the clarity coaching calls. They are so fun. You will walk away with your next steps. You'll walk away with a recording, and you'll walk away with a new team member. I promise you that. Or if you're saying, Denise, actually, the more you've talked about take the reins, I've been wondering if it's for me, and it sounds like that might be the case. I have a vision for the business, but I'm doing it solo, and I really want that person that can come in and help guide me, give me the resources, point me in the right direction, ask me the hard questions to get really clear on who I serve and how I communicate that. If that is you, then Take the Reins could be exactly what you need, and I would love to visit with you. So if you go to Lily.com, you can find information there on Take the Reins, and you can find information there on Clarity Coaching Calls. Both of those are available to you, and I would love to meet with you on Zoom and help you to get that clarity and maybe talk through it. Like you can reach out and say, Denise, I listened to that episode and I want to build a community. Let's talk about what that looks like. I want some action steps. I would love to talk with you about that. All right. So please know I'm here to help. And that includes telling you, hey, I have services. I have coaching. I love to do that. Let's chat. But if you're saying, Denise, I don't know yet that it's coaching, but I want to implement these other things, then please take action. All right. My hope for you on this podcast is always that you would not just hear, but that you would do, that you would take action with what you have learned. And so let me just encourage you, go back to these 5 keys and pick one. What's one thing that you're going to focus on that's going to build brand? Maybe it is showing up consistently. Maybe it is communicating with your clients on a consistent, scheduled basis. Maybe it's evaluating the level of quality that you provide. You're wanting to charge more. Do you need to up-level the quality to do that? I want to encourage you to take action because that, friends, is really the difference maker for you as an equestrian entrepreneur. That's what sets you apart. All right. Okay, friends, I'm so grateful you joined me here. Please, if this was helpful to you, think of one person that you could share it with. Who is that business friend that's in the industry that when you guys get together, you really do talk business? You talk horses, but you talk business. Send this episode to them. I would love to help more equestrian entrepreneurs to get clarity in their marketing so they can continue to do the things that they love as well. I am so grateful you joined me here. If you've been here since the beginning, if you're an OG who's been here for 4 years, I am extremely grateful for you, and I would love to hear from you. Some of you I've gotten to meet in person at different events, and it has been a blast. But if I've not met you in person and we've met on social or through email, just know that your showing up and taking action and learning and doing is an encouragement to me. And it's exactly why I show up here and do the podcast for equestrian entrepreneurs like yourself. So stay tuned. I have more wonderful guests lined up to bring you guys, more education created to bring you, because that's what I'm here to do, right? Provide the information, the practical and actionable help that you need to market your horse business well. I am so grateful you joined me here. Be sure to head to the website for Take the Reins and Clarity coaching call information. Share this with a friend and make sure you're subscribed. All right, so you get that next episode that's coming out soon. Have an amazing day.